Hey guys, so I wanted to make a little bit of a follow-up video to the one I posted a couple weeks ago about how my last few books, middle grade books, have sold 500,000 copies, and my next one went on submission and no one wanted it. And the context is really important there. It wasn't a video to whine, it was a video to kind of make a point about how short Twitter-like sound bites can get a lot of attention, but once you dig into it, and this goes for not only publishing but any news in general, you learn that maybe things aren't as outrageous as they sound. So I will link to that video up above. But one question that I got, and it is a really, really good question that I wish I had addressed in that video, I thought I'd go over here, is basically, this is a question a lot of traditionally published authors get when we talk about how hard it is to get a book deal and just the general state of the industry right now. The question is, why don't you just self-publish it? Why would you eat the cost of that? Why you spent all this time working on this book? Why not? And I think I'm gonna paraphrase one particular comment I got, but why not just throw it out there and make some money off of it? And I mean this with no disrespect to anyone, but I actually find that, I feel like if I were a self-published author, I would find that pretty insulting, because if you want to be a successful self-published author, you don't just throw your book out there. You're launching a business. It's like somebody saying, I really love baking cupcakes, but nobody, I don't know, I can't give them away. Oh, well, why don't you open a bakery? No. When you go the traditional publishing route as an author, in some ways it is an entrepreneurial endeavor in that, yeah, we've long been expected to build some sort of brand, which you guys know how I feel about that, but it's part of it. We are expected to take part in the marketing that is set up by our publisher. We have to manage, there's contracts. It's not starting a business, but there's a lot more in common between traditionally published authors and self-published authors in terms of what we have to do than I think sometimes this either-or thing would have us believe. But with self-publishing, if you want your book to have a chance at getting out there, and I'm not even talking about breaking out and being a bestseller, but just like building a readership, building a backlist, and building a readership, there is a lot that goes into it, including hiring editors, hiring copy editors, hiring designers, hiring illustrators. Mine, and I really wish I had put this out in that video last week, but my book that went out on submission and is not selling is partial graphic novel. I would say that it's probably about 70% just narrative, like narration as a normal book, regular prose, and 30% script for like a graphic novel. And illustrators justifiably are not cheap. I mean, I'm a ghostwriter. Ghostwriters aren't cheap either. Like, this is a real service we're providing. I don't have the funds to hire an artist to complete that vision. And then, we haven't even gotten into cover art and all of that. And from what I can tell from the videos and the content I have consumed about being a successful self-published author, yeah, I don't even know. I don't know another way to say it. It's launching a business. And that is not something I'm interested in. And for that book in particular, the one that went on submission and has not sold, that is middle grade. It is a middle grade partial graphic novel. And the only reason that my previous 3 or 4 middle grade novels have sold so well is because they were in scholastics, clubs, and fairs. They have okay trade sales, bookstore sales, but the bulk of those numbers come from clubs and fairs, and I can't get a self-published book into clubs and fairs. I can't reach my audience for this particular project via self-publishing. Maybe some other author would find a way to do it. I have no idea to do it, how I would do it and get anywhere near that volume of sales. So that's why. It's just, again, even if it were a genre that would do, potentially well in self-publishing, I still don't quite grasp the concept of, well, I went on submission and it floundered, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. Again, I would be insulted if I were a self-published author, because they're not throwing their books out there a whole lot. They're doing all the work a traditional publisher would have done. I don't know how to do that work. I don't have the funds to do that work. So that is why I am not self-publishing that book. I am going to just kind of keep it in my back pocket, and, you know, maybe at some point I will try refiguring it into a younger, like a chapter book series. I think the concept of it could work well as a chapter book. Maybe the market and trends will change. I'm gonna have to look up this fact to verify it, so I will link this down below if it is actually true. I have not verified this, but I did read somewhere that sales for middle grade novels in 2023 were down. Again, not sure if that's true, but frankly, given everything that's going on with Barnes & Noble not stocking as many, with all of the focus on franchise books and just established series, and just taking that same 1% of authors and books and only really trying to sell them, and the lack of acquisition that's going on in middle grade, I would not be surprised if that was true. So that's really depressing. And it just kind of makes me want to take a break from middle grade for a while, because I don't know, I had a good run. It's been 10 years and I've had over 20 middle grade novels published. That is a very good run. I'm really happy with that. Maybe things will come back around one day and I'll be able to jump back in, but right now I don't know what else I can do to try to sell a middle grade book at this point. So there's that. However, I have been thinking that, again, given the state of the industry, maybe it is time for a change, or just for me to do something new. I have never ruled out self-publishing. I have often said in videos, I think, if the right idea came to me, it has to be the right genre. I have to know that I could find an audience for it. I would consider self-publishing. And the problem is, the projects that I have going right now, the ones that I'm most interested in working on, I wasn't sure any of them really were the best fit. And then, so move over to Substack. As you guys know, and this will all connect, I joined Substack. I migrated my newsletter over there earlier this year, and I have been very much enjoying it. I really, really, really like Substack a lot. And I recently, while my newsletter is and remains free, I did just recently launch a new series for paid subscribers. It's $5 a month. It's called Ask the Editor. And you can submit, if you are a paid subscriber, anything you want. Query, pages, synopses, questions, rants, and I will critique and or respond in the appropriate way and publish it in a newsletter that is behind a paywall, so your words are private. And it's been awesome so far. There are 2 issues out. So far we have done, let's see, I critiqued the opening pages for a middle grade historical novel, I don't know what the genre was, but some kind of incredibly atmospheric, moody, contemporary novel. And in the last issue, there was also a pretty juicy question about specific literary agencies and whether or not things were scammy over there. And also the very, very, very good question, is there such thing as a good agent at a bad agency? And would it be wise to sign with them? It was a great question. And so we get into stuff like that. I will link down below if you are interested in. But I've also just been spending a lot of time on Substack as a reader. And something that I've noticed and that I really like is that, while, as with any platform, when you get on there, you can kind of get inundated with posts about here's how to grow, here's how to blow up your followers, blah, 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 your subscribers. But the actual people on Substack that I follow, both those with a large audience and those who have a smaller audience, are very resistant to that. They're like, this is a place where we don't care about the size of your audience. We care about building a meaningful audience where you have like real interactions, and you know when you write something, they're going to read it. And in following these people, I have like it has led me to the fact that there is quite a good amount of serialized fiction on Substack. And that got me thinking. I know there are a lot of options out there for publishing serialized fiction. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it not Kindle Unlimited, but the other one, is it KDP? You guys who know Amazon really well maybe can tell me, like, that's serialized fiction. That is people getting paid to publish kind of, I don't want to say an endless series, but fiction that's all connected, and it's almost more like watching a television show where you get an episode every week or however long the author updates it. And I was looking at all my current works in progress, the things that I've stopped and started a lot over the last 2 years, really. There's the thriller, which I have started drafting, and I have a full synopsis for, and it is a novel. It is absolutely supposed to be a novel, and honestly, it is something that if I ever finish it, I would want to show my agent first to at least see if he thought submission was a good idea. So that's not the project I want to experiment with. And then I looked at my fantasy, and that thing, I'm having fun with it. I like opening the doc and playing around with ideas and building the world out more. But right now, I really think that is just a project for me. And because I don't really have a target audience. If my target audience is anyone, it's like 14-year-old me, which is something, but I don't see myself putting that, even being close to drafting it anytime soon, much less putting it out there for anyone else to read. And then I opened up the horror novel. I don't know if horror is quite the right genre either. I'm going to have to work on this. But the one that, it's called Kith, and I made some videos about it last year, I think this was 2 summers ago. I brainstormed the heck out of that thing. I opened my Scrivener document, and I was like, wow, yeah, I have the backstory for this thing completely. I know everything. And then the list of characters, I very much know these characters, their personalities. I can come up with a lot of scary situations to put them in and to combine them in different ways, and I can see lots of different things happening. In terms of a plot, I never started plotting it. The farthest I got was there was an urban legend in this little town, and it was like a 6 Sundays in a row, someone dies on every Sunday, and on the 6th Sunday something really bad happens. I'm being very vague, but that was the basic premise. And so I did see it overall taking place over the course of 6 weeks with something bad happening every Sunday. But that was as far as I got. I was like, this feels like something I could serialize, because I have a large cast that I know very well. I have a setting that I know very, very well. This was the one that is the story is set in the 90s, in 96 specifically, and it's heavily based on the town that I lived in during that time, which is called Flower Mound. But at the time, it was a rural town that was halfway through its transformation into a suburb, and that's what my town is here as well. And then like I said, the kind of paranormally horror element that maybe isn't so paranormal is something that I worked out fully. I have the backstory. It goes all the way back to the Dust Bowl, and it was really fun. So I don't know. I'm thinking about starting to work on that and publishing it as like a serialized fiction series on Substack for the paid subscribers. Or at least I would have maybe some free, the first few chapters, and then it would be behind a paywall. But it would be for the same people who have already subscribed. So, like, if you subscribed, you would both get that and the Ask the Editor feature. This is very early stages, can you tell? I'm still really kind of thinking through what all of this would look like logistically. But here's the deal. I think that a big part of the reason I have been starting so many projects over the last couple of years is because it is very hard for me to get truly excited about any book past a certain stage if I don't feel like I'm going to be able to show it to somebody soon. I want people to read it. I mean, that's why we write, you know? And sometimes it's great to have something you're writing just for you. Again, my fantasy, that's what that is right now. That's just for me. But I don't know. The thriller, I can still see myself finishing that draft by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. But I want something that I know I'm going to be able to share it, period. And also, separately, something that's always been an issue with YouTube or AuthorTube, and I've heard other people talk about this, is like, we can only share so much of our stories without giving spoilers away. When we're working on something and we're vlogging about it and we're talking through plot problems, we have to be vague because we want to publish this book one day and we don't want to give away the farm. But if I were publishing serialized fiction and you guys could, if you wanted to, actually be reading the story, then I could just openly talk here about, yeah, I'm at this scene where this specific character just had this thing go down, and I just found this plot hole, and how am I going to work through this? And I could actually talk through things with detail. And I think that would make for, I don't know, I would like to see another author vlog openly about every single step of their story along the way. I think that would be interesting. So hopefully you guys would too. Let me know if you think this is just a dumb idea. That's what I'm toying with right now. So I have that Kith document open and I'm going through it and just trying to figure out how much plotting ahead I would want to do, because you guys know me, I'm not fully a pantser. The idea of just like writing the first scene, putting it on Substack and being like, more to come, with no idea of where it's going, makes my hands clammy. There's no way I can do that. But I don't think I need like a full-blown outline either. I think if I can just figure out a couple of bullet point lists of what happens on each of these 6 weeks, then I can just play with the characters and make sure I hit those points and just kind of see what happens. So yeah, that's what I'm considering right now. Let me know what you think of that idea in the comments below. Maybe this is just ridiculous. I don't know. But it is making me excited about actually writing. So I feel like that's a sign. As far as any other updates, I didn't think I did any kind of author on the road updates. I know I kind of abandoned the shorts. I'm just not a short form content person, guys. I'm sorry. I don't like watching them. And it turns out that making them got kind of tedious for me after a while. But we made our way very slowly up the California coast and stopped and hung out and spent a lot of time in a lot of great places like Pacifica, where there were just surfers out on the water every day where we parked. I would wake up in the morning, first thing, really before the sun would even be up, and they would be out there. They would still be out there as the sun was going down. It was great. I'm going to blank on a lot of other towns, but we just drove all the way up through California, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Finally made it back into the Pacific Northwest, where we spent a little bit of time in Bend, and then a good amount of time, a week and a half, which is pretty long, in Newport, Oregon, which is awesome. I had been there once before, back in my travel writer days on a press trip, and I just love that town. I'm happy to be, right now we're in Portland. I actually have some friends from New York who are going to be here this week, and I'm very excited to hang out with them. But I miss Newport. I could have stayed there. It was just my kind of town. And we're just going to continue slowly heading north and staying out of the hot weather. I think a lot of you guys in the rest of the U.S., if you are in the U.S., are getting hit with. My sincerest apologies. Summer is brutal, and it's only getting more and more brutal. So that is, that's my update. Let me know what you guys think of all this. And if I know I have a lot of different types of authors who write different types and publish in different types of ways following this. I know a lot of you guys are self-published. If you've done the serialized fiction thing and you have any advice for me, like how you structure, how you plan, and also the platform that you use to share your work, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. So let me know, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.